Hey folks, it's Kaya, and I'm here to give you an update on my progress and to talk about what I believe to be the longest day that I've ever lived in my life, which was today. It was a long day. It was a lot. I had to pull on reserves from who knows where. We had to dig real deep today. Tears were shed. The Lord was called, and yeah, today was tough. Thank you all, whoever joined in and chimed in that you were praying for me, because I certainly needed all of them. So update from yesterday. Actually, we'll start from before. I went to see a surgeon yesterday. Her name is Nyana Dekney. And she was referred to me by my OB, who is a wonderful, wonderful lady. Her name is Dr. Andrea Lightbourne. And Dr. Lightbourne is the most personable doctor that takes her time with you. She talks to you. She will draw diagrams. She really spends time with all of her patients. And she is a godsend, and she has been a godsend through this process and the process that I went through last year. So, Dr. Dekney came, I was referred to her by Dr. Lightbourne. She actually scheduled an appointment for me and everything. And she came highly recommended. Dr. Lightbourne told me that Dr. Dekney took care of some of her family members. And so she was sending me to a person that she trusted and that has taken great care of some of her family members. And so I went in to see Dr. Dekney yesterday, and she too was very personable. She explained everything. She drew pictures. I saw the films of really what it is that I'm dealing with here. And so we talked about options. I left yesterday. It was a lot to take in, but I left yesterday feeling really encouraged. One of the things that Dr. Lightbourne had said when she confirmed my finding was that part of what possibly had transpired, because like I said, this is all taking place within a couple of weeks. Like, I had not felt anything before, etc., etc. And Dr. Lightbourne even said that after she's had patients who's lost weight come in with issues that they didn't know was there because they was covered up by fat. That was the real issue. And so, as explained, I joined this weight loss program earlier this year and lost 35 pounds over the last 3 months. And with that, here comes a big lump. And so when I talked to Dr. Dekney, she kind of showed me the films, and we talked about options and what it is that I could look forward to. But she also said that she was going to assemble a team. There generally is teams that work together to make these kind of determinations. And as a surgeon, she's going to refer me to an oncologist who I saw today. And then there's also a radiologist that we'll be working with as well. And so good news is that the lump or the mass is not attached to anything. We believe that we may be able to just go in and get it out. And so we don't have to do a whole mastectomy. We don't have to do that. But we may be able to operate and be able to surgically remove what's there. The lymph node mass presents a separate option or a separate obstacle. And so we talked about options for chemotherapy, etc. And I was told to discuss further with the oncologist that she referred me to, Dr. Ishmael Jaimi. J-Simi. The man is amazing. Whatever his name is, Dr. J. That's what he told me to call him. So anyway, yeah, yesterday I was really encouraged. Today was a whole nother story. So She talked about doing genetic testing, issues with this starting with me being so young. Praise God, we still a young lady. Hello. So we talked about that, and family history, genetic testing, whether or not this particular cancer will respond to chemo or not, and things of that nature. Okay, so one thing that I had to understand was if you can get this out through surgery, why is chemo needed? And so, as it was explained, because of the nature of the beast there may be some other cells floating around, not attached, and chemo, in theory, will wipe it out of my body. It kind of goes through and kills whatever is could be in other places, right? So that was part of our discussion yesterday. My meeting this morning with Dr. J was at 8:30, and we got to the clinic, and he had already been in contact with Dr. Deckney, and they had talked and discussed options, and he had looked at my films, and he did his exam, and immediately he said we don't need to wait for genetic tests. Based on the size and the mass and the aggressiveness of what I have, he wants to move forward, and he began making phone calls while I was right there in the office. Took me completely by surprise. I wasn't ready for all of the windstorm that he was, but he was insistent that we should have started attacking this several days ago, and the phone calls that he was making was like, we needed this 10 days ago. Let's get moving today. We need things done. I don't want to wait till next week. Let's get it going. And so I left out of the whirlwind that is Dr. J's office. And don't get me wrong, it was great, because he stood and talked to me, and I really understood where he was going. So apparently the size of the mass and the fact that it is a grade 3, which is like the most aggressive grade that, is there, he wants to get moving. So I left there with an appointment for echocardiogram, appointment for a bone scan, appointment for his TT scan. And things were moving at such a rapid pace. I have appointments for next week to get started and all kind of things. It was a lot happened today. And so I was at the doctor. I left my house, I want to say at something to 8 this morning. I got home at something to 7 tonight. And the whole time was in hospitals and in testing and rooms and waiting and authorizations and, pokes and prods. I think I got stuck 6 times today. IVs and tests and dye and all kind of stuff that, was a lot for me to handle. Thank you to Teresa. I call her Annette, so I trip over Teresa. But thank you, because I called her today just wigging out. When he talked about chemo and starting chemo, my thought was, oh my God. And I'm not real vain about my hair and none of that. But my thought was, oh God, here we go. So I told her, okay, I'm gonna need you to straighten my hair first. We're gonna do straighten, and then we're going to probably take a couple of pictures just so I can remember it, and then we just gonna cut it off. That was my goal for today. I'm like, we're not even gonna allow it to fall out in clumps. We're not doing none of that. We just gonna start. We're gonna straighten it, take some pictures. We're gonna cut it like Monday or Tuesday. I'm not even about to deal with this. And she kind of talked me off that ledge and was like, ma'am, get somewhere and sit down and remember, Jesus. How about that? And you don't have to cut your hair right now. Just relax. Whew. We took some deep breaths, and we kind of said, okay, you're probably right. But in my efforts to control the narrative and control the situation, we got to moving and thinking and crying and whatever. Okay, I got my mind back shortly after that and said, okay, we're going to pause that for just a second. But that was a lot. It was a lot happening today. So as we progressed, I think Dr. Jake actually called me a couple of times today to work on my issue. He found somebody to put in the port on Monday. And so Monday I go up under anesthesia or whatever so I can have the port for chemo inserted. And then I believe I start chemo on Wednesday. Yeah, it's a lot. And from what I understand, it's going to take several rounds of treatment in order to get this done. It was a lot today. So Keisha hung out with me all day. Kudos to her. I felt like we worked a job today. And she was there and she was supportive and she kind of hung with me and took me from pillar to post and checking in. We had to answer them coronavirus questions 1,000 times. But she was patient and encouraging. And so kudos to my little big sister for that. I'm, the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's just, and all day I had to say, God, I'm casting these cares on you. And for every time the CAT scan machine was going over, we was praying. And every time the bone scan machine was in my face and going up and down, we was praying and singing on the inside and trying to encourage ourselves, because that's what it's going to take in order for me to get through this. We preached to ourselves, we talked to ourselves, we encouraged ourselves, and then we felt the prayers of the saints as well. So today was a long day. I think it was the longest day I ever lived in my whole life. This morning in the doctor's office, he started talking about chemo, and let me tell you, my eyes just started leaking like, this is a real thing. Like, this ain't no cakewalk. They about to put poison in me, or and it's just that serious. This is not something to play with. And radiation and dyes and the trauma that we are about to experience is breathtaking. So yeah, y'all, I miss a lot. And so I know I ramble through this. Y'all understand. You understand this is more for me than for anything else anyway. But I'm just kind of dragging y'all along with me. And thank you to everybody who's watching and listening and looking and encouraging. You guys are awesome with that. So next week presents its own set of challenges. I have appointments every day. Like I said, Monday, I want to say they put in the port in, and so I have to go in for that. Tuesday, I have a couple of appointments for some genetics counseling and some other something. I think I start chemo on Wednesday. There's some other meetings and appointments Thursday and Friday. I haven't even finished my paperwork for work yet. This is all like, there are things that I needed to tie up. We hired people, that I was training, and here we go with this. And I'm thinking that the timeline was going to be much more spread out. Give me time to think, give me time to get my thoughts and life and everything together, and plan out my schedules and my work and my days and all of that. And it's not happening like that. I talked to my boss tonight, and she was very understanding and willing to work with me and willing to allow me to take the time that I need to do what I need to do, paperwork notwithstanding. And we're going to do everything that we need to do by the book to get it in order. But I just thank God that he put people in my life that are understanding. Today, it was so funny because Dr. J, he was pushing hard and fast. And with the holiday coming up, people were trying to put me off until next week. And he was like, no, now, today. No, today. And so when I got to, we went from Beaumont, Royal Oak to Beaumont and Troy. And when I got to Troy, some of the paperwork hadn't caught up with me yet. And they were like, I don't know who you are, but you have people pushing and pulling for you. We not going to, we waiting on paperwork, but people have been calling to check to see if your things are done, et cetera, et cetera. And there have been people that have offered to help and to assist in whatever ways possible. And so thank you to everybody who worked on me today, who pushed and pulled strings and got things done and moved quickly. Like I said, I had one appointment this morning, and by the time I left Dr. J's office, it was a whole plethora of things that I had to do, and that were in place for me to go from one place to the next place. And then even for next week, their calls were coming in, and I had needles in my arms and things going on, and they were still calling like, hey, you have this coming up on Monday. Hey, we're scheduling you for this. Hey, we're moving for this. And so I just appreciate the effort that everybody's putting in to get this taken care of, to get me taken care of and all of that. And so to my Glow family, thank you for your prayers. Thank you for calling and checking on me. Thank you for being understanding. Let me tell y'all, last night we had Bible class, and I've been teaching a series on Colossians, and it was so scattery. Last night, they were so patient with me. I just had to tell them, hey, this week has been woo. So, if you saw that video from last night, how my mind was working last night. And so they just had to understand. Yeah. And they were super understanding. And so even for them, they've been supporting and texting and calling and praying and all of that stuff. And I believe that they got me and God's got me and all of that. And so, yeah, that's where we are tonight. We had 17 minutes again. Why do I talk so much? Yeah. And so keep me in your prayers. We're going to wrap this up and let this go. Yeah, keep me in your prayers. I believe that, God is going to show himself strong here, and there will be a testimony to come out of this that will be great. And yeah, I count it all joy at this point. God is good, even through this, all the time. I trust him implicitly. And so today was a lot. Tears were shed. I cried. I think my sister might have cried. We cried together. But even in those tears, I still trust God. Thank you. Like I said, thank you, Annette, for your words and the laughter, because she brought the laughter too. And for talking me off the ledge. I'm telling y'all, honey, I had it planned out. Like Monday, we gon' do hair, straighten hair, cut hair. We were just like gonna get it. But she was like, girl, get somewhere and sit down. And I listened to that. So thank you even for that. And for you all, as I go in and out in this process, and, if we trying to show strength, and, sometimes I feel strong and sometimes I don't. Yeah, it's going to be like that. So thank you for listening. And I'll talk to you guys later.